Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Guy Lewis, and welcome to the April 2024 episode of the Business Lincolnshire live show. This is the fourth live show this year, but the show started 3 years ago in April 2021, and it was started to engage with businesses across Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland about topics that are affecting them, answer questions, and also share details about the support that is available to you as a business owner. And we've continued that over the last 3 years. So we're on LinkedIn, and hopefully I just have to do something. Hopefully, if you want to get involved with the show, what you can do is pop into the chat on LinkedIn. There's a slight delay, but I will get back to you. So pop stuff in the chat that you want to ask any questions about, and hopefully we'll get back to you. So this month's show, we're talking about the social economy sector in Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland, and specifically how this crosses into the digital sector and digital innovation. I'm pleased to say that we've got two guests today who'll be both sharing their insights of the sector, but also providing more details on the programme and some future events. So first, I'd like to invite David onto the into the show. So David's a digital sector growth manager for Business Lincolnshire, and he's been responsible for the creation of the Digital Business Register and also for arranging many of the digitally focused events at Moseley in Lincoln. Hi, David. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Guy. Good to see you. Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. So tell me, what's your role in the digital sector?
So my focus is actually working quite closely with both the digital sector in Greater Lincolnshire, Rutland, and also with the Mosaic Digital Hub, which is a kind of co-working space in the heart of Lincoln that's focused exclusively on digital and technology sector. So it's working with the sector itself, so understanding what support the sector needs, but it's also looking at ways that that sector can collaborate more widely across the whole of Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland with businesses that are on a journey to adopt more digital technology.
Yeah, great. So, and you mentioned the register there. I think I mentioned it. I mean, that's something you're trying to promote to almost to get people into this network so that they can sort of communicate easier and collaborate.
That's right. Yeah. So we launched an initiative called Digital Lincolnshire back in November 22. And that really started as you said, kind of a register or kind of an online guide to different digital and technology businesses across the whole of Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland. We're up to about 90 businesses on there at the moment. The downloadable guide has got about 60 in there. So we sign up businesses. They go through a process of providing some more information about the business, and then we update the record. So we actually run an event last week as part of UK Tech Week, which was bringing together around 40 of those businesses. And that was really just to spark off a conversation around how we can help that sector collaborate better together.
Yeah, and you also did the agency jam, didn't you? Because I was fortunate to be invited to that, so that was good.
That's right. So I guess the top sort of events we run, the best way to think about it is we run some events exclusively for the sector. So it's helping the sector either learn and share knowledge or to support each other. An agency jam was one of those events we ran at Mosaic. We also have, for example, on Thursday this week, so usually around the first Thursday of each month, we have a digital breakfast meetup, which brings together local businesses and digital businesses. It's a breakfast. They kind of it's fairly relaxed and informal. It's an opportunity to network and also to update on kind of what everybody's up to. And then I suppose the other event to highlight that happens quite regularly is at the last Tuesday of every month, Digital Lincoln run an evening meetup, which is exclusively for tech and digital businesses in Lincoln. So there's those kind of sector-related events. And then we try to run events where we bring together not just the sector, but also other businesses, usually around a topic that's relevant for either a particular sector or a particular type of business. And so, for example, we've got an event coming up on the 16th of May, which is called AI in Action. And it's very much around
for that. There we go.
Yeah, very good timing.
Yeah.
So AI in Action is about sort of bringing together tech startups and also people working in implementing AI within their kind of businesses, and other businesses. So we've got some manufacturers, some engineering, and some more general business service businesses coming to that. And again, learning, so it's sharing what people are up to, but also learning about what's actually happening, because as you probably know, there's a lot of noise around AI, and some of it needs a bit demystifying, and then some of it also just needs some examples that are kind of practically what people are working on. So yeah, that's an event. It's in collaboration with Barclays Eagle Labs, so we're running that at Mosaic, and I say it's on the 16th of May.
Good. And just recap on Mosaic, because you said that's the other part of the role. So Mosaic is both a place where you do these sort of events. There's hot desking. There's offices for tech businesses.
That's right. So Mosaic opened in November 2019. It's just recently expanded with phase 2, which was last year, and essentially it's a dedicated co-working and office space for digital and tech businesses, and also people that are working in digital roles but might happen to be working remotely. And essentially, there's three levels of membership. So one is a hot desking area, so you can buy day passes, and you can come and use it as and when on an ad hoc basis. There's a dedicated desk, so people that want their own setup, their own desk that they can use 24/7, that's available. And then there's office space, and it's definitely a success story for Lincolnshire and Lincoln, because it's fully all the offices are fully catered for, and I think there's a bit of a waiting list. So yes,
okay.
And then we run our events here because it's a great space. I'm actually in one of the offices here. You can see behind me, it's a bit of a industrial feel there. So if you ever get an opportunity to come to an event, I definitely recommend it. Come down, and the team here are great. They're always happy to give people a bit of a tour.
Got you. So on all your events, I guess on Eventbrite, I mean, we showed that AI in action. That's an Eventbrite page. There's a Mosaic Eventbrite page. If there is, I'll get a link in. I haven't got it on at the moment, but I'll put a link in on the LinkedIn chat after the show, and also any sort of a link to Mosaic itself. So if anyone's interested in actually, one of them tiered memberships, then we could look at that.
I definitely recommend. Sorry, I was just going to say I definitely recommend going. So if you Google Mosaic Digital Hub Lincoln, you'll get their website, and they've got a fairly comprehensive list of all the events. So they update it really regularly. So if you're just curious about what's happening in the digital space, then that's probably the best place to follow.
Yeah, and I guess you publish it on all the usual channels, so it's probably on the LinkedIn. I guess.
So definitely LinkedIn.
While we're talking about events, or going back to events, because that's where I sort of interjected and talking about Mosaic. So today we were talking. It's one of your future events that you're doing with a specific sector, isn't it?
That's right. So one of our kind of cross-sector events is called Innovate for Impact. So it's an event we're doing in collaboration with the BGU, what's known as the Greater Lincolnshire Social Economy Academy, which is a support program run by BGU for businesses in what's known as the social economy.
Brilliant. I think this is a great point that we bring Sarah into the studio. So I'm going to add Sarah to say, brilliant. Hi, Sarah. I just want to give you a quick introduction. I just need to find where I am. So I brought Sarah into. So Sarah is a chartered manager with lots of experiences, but some in things like social responsible leadership, ethical practice, corporate and community engagement, and social enterprise. Sarah is the development manager at Bishop Grosseteste University, and also heads up the Greater Lincolnshire Social Economy Academy based there. The Academy offers a range of training and development activities for organisations and entrepreneurs with a clear social and environmental mission. Among other duties, Sarah also connects with local organisations working in social economy sector and assisting delivering support to these organisations. Sarah, I'm out of words. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you, Guy, for having me. Nice to see you, David. Apologies in advance. The grass is being cut outside on campus, and I can't switch my emails off because if I touch the computer, I leave the studio. So if you hear a ping, I'm getting emails. But thank you for having me today.
No, I'm glad you're here. So what we'll talk about, I mean, first, if you could just tell me a bit more about the Greater Lincolnshire Social Economy Academy. I'm going to find a nice little slide to put it up. But
it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's one of one of a portfolio of projects that I manage for BGU,
Yeah.
and I'll just call it the Academy to keep things easy.
Sure.
The Academy is a specialist support programme for the social economy sector. The social economy sector we class as charities, community groups, social enterprises, and organisations that have a clear environmental or social purpose. So they are purpose-driven organisations for social good. It's funded by UK government under UK SPF money, and it's supported by Lincolnshire County Council and Business Lincolnshire, and then delivered locally by BGU through online workshops. So David has already run a session with me already, which was brilliant, and that was around diversifying income. So getting organisations to consider where's their income coming from already, how reliant are they on grant funding, could they expand areas of their trading, are there trading opportunities, and that was a 3-hour session which flew by, and the feedback from that has been really positive around getting people to think about other options, because the funded landscape, whilst it's really important to this sector, everyone knows that it is drying up, it's more difficult, it's more competitive. So if there are ways that organisations can build capability, and that's what the Academy is about, really, about building capability so that they can have longevity financially to be more sustainable.
Okay, no, good. So I'm slightly distracted. I'm just putting putting some details in the chat, and then we'll switch onto my LinkedIn. So it was interesting when you were saying that, Sally, talking about supporting charities, KICs, but also that are not for profits, but also businesses that are for profit, but they've got that real sort of social value that underpins their whole operation. How would someone get in touch with you? How would someone sort of understand if they qualify for that or are eligible for that?
Yeah, so if you are an organisation that is operating in the regime of the Business Lincolnshire, there is a slide somewhere in the pack there that says where people operate, then they can enrol on the Academy and start to participate in these online sessions. And that may be because, so the sector has there's a slight issue with the word not-for-profit, because I think it's the use of the profit, and whether we call it a surplus or whether we call it purpose-driven is up for debate. But organisations that don't necessarily set out at the start to have a clear social purpose, so it might not be listed anywhere in their articles or anything in a formal way, may decide that they want to get involved in other areas, and they may choose to set up another division of their organisation. So they may choose to set up a separate charitable arm, or they may choose to set up a community interest company so that they can run possibly be governed differently, or be very clear about what they are doing with the profit that they make and what that profit is being used for.
Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. So I think probably what we're worth looking at is the sort of joint event that yourself and David are arranging for the future.
Yeah, so that came about because from the first few online sessions that we ran through the Academy, there was a common theme, and it was around the lack of digital skills or knowledge around what is available. And organisations, and I worked in a industrial providence society, so and at the time, if digital is not your thing, it's not my thing. I understand that it frees up our time, but I'm not a natural embracer of technology. But we do understand that actually, if we can free up the mundaneness, the routine work, we can spend our time being more socially impactful, so being more human. So technology is the route for us to be more human. And I think the sector doesn't have access to digital whiz kids in their IT department, and don't know what's available, and don't just want to be sold a product from a provider, they actually need to talk about what they would like to free their time up to do, or what is something they're doing routinely at the same time every week or every month, and then bring the, and at the time me and David were talking and saying, would it be really brilliant if we brought these social purpose organisations together with a whole sector that probably don't naturally cross paths, and this is where we are.
That's right.
So this is the Innovate for Impact Digital Solutions for the Social Economy, running on the 11th of June, the Mosaic, hosted by the two of you, I guess.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're promising a double act.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I guess so. Go ahead, Sarah.
So this is actually an in-person event at Mosaic, and the idea is that organisations that are operating in the social economy sector should sign up on the links that's out on Mosaic and under David's programme, but actually can enrol on the academy at the same time. And I won't steal David's thunder because I think he's going to talk through the agenda for the day, or the programme of the day. But at the end, there will be a roundtable discussion, which I will facilitate so that I can take common themes away. And because it may be that the solution is in the room, as it generally is, and we can run something bespoke. We're quite keen that the academy runs on a demand basis for what is the greatest need and how can we make an impact quite quickly. So this is about things you can take back into the workplace, maybe in the next couple of days, or at least you could start building, unless it's a more larger piece around maybe building a strategy around your digital skills, or a digital strategy full stop for your organisation.
Okay, so we know it's at Mosaic. We know it's on the 11th of June. So what does that event look like, David? Have you got a sort of rundown for us? What's going to happen on the day?
Sure. Yeah. So as Sarah said, we kind of wanted to create something that brought both digital businesses and the social economy sector together. I mean, as has been said, it's on first glance you'd say it's not an area which probably naturally gets together, but from knowing the businesses in the sector, there is a lot of interest in purpose-driven businesses. A lot of the sector recruit on values, and I think there's a keenness to get involved in supporting, the social economy as a wider sector. So we kind of decided we'd have this split kind of format, as Sarah's just explained. The first half is really speakers and a panel. So it's about, I guess, inspiring what's possible and what's happening out there with both social economy organisations and tech businesses that work in that sector. And then that will then feed into, after a lunch break, a round table conversation, as Sarah's already mentioned, and I think we'll probably go back to and talk a bit more detail in. So we've got two speakers that are going to be about 20 minutes each initially. One speaker is actually from the social economy, Simon Hawkin, who is the CEO of Axe Trust. And Axe Trust is quite a well-known charity. I think that kind of started in 2006 in Lincoln. And what Simon's going to be talking about, again, not to drill too much into it, because he's got 20 minutes of his own. But what Simon's going to talk about is the fact that they as an organisation adopted some technology and had some technology developed for them to address a particular need within the organisation and their operations. And what they've subsequently found is that technology, because it did such a good job, is now being used by other charities and other organisations and agencies within the social economy, to the extent that it has potential to become an income stream for that organisation. So we thought that would be a really good speaker to hear off straight off, because it's people will know Axe Trust and it's kind of relatable, but also it's a bit eye-opening in terms of the fact that what could be seen as an expense actually could be a net contributor to income. So a really good story that Simon's going to present. And then we've kind of got a tech perspective afterwards. So we have an organisation called Everfund. Will Doaf is one of the co-founders of Everfund. And Everfund actually quite a really interesting success story for Lincoln. So small startup that has been backed by Silicon Valley venture capitalists. So they've got VC investment. Okay. They've built and now scaling a business which sells globally. And what Everfund do is they help more modern, slightly medium to large size charities organize and manage all their fundraising activities and scale those fundraising activities. So Will's going to basically talk us through a bit about their journey, but also about actually how more advanced charities are using technology to scale and grow their fundraising and income generation activities. So again, it may not necessarily as an application be applicable to everyone in the room, but as a bit of a inspiration of actually this is what's happening, this is how other organizations are doing it, and being driven by quite a successful Lincoln tech business. We think that kind of sets that scene there in terms of what's possible. So that's our two speakers. We'll have a bit of a Q&A after each speaker, and then we've assembled a bit of a panel. So this is more of a knowledge share and a bit more interactive Q&A session.
Yeah. And so this is just wrapping up the two speakers, really sort of showcasing case studies of how digital or innovation, tech innovation, has actually really sort of impacted them once in terms of their operation, but also in terms of what you might call their business model, actually providing more of a service that they can provide out to externally and actually get an income stream from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we one of the reasons why we're calling it Innovate for Impact is actually the UK government and organisations like Innovate UK are very keen on helping bring technology to the market that supports wider social good and social economy. So I think it is about, I guess the best way to think about it is that the organisations, the social economy organisations, understand the pain points, they understand the problems. If we can get them connected to technologists that can build products and build services, then that's something that potentially you could get a project that gets funded and comes off the back of it.
Excellent. No, really good, really good. And then you talked then about a panel discussion. So we kind of thought it'd be quite good to get some different perspectives from people that are using digital and digital technologies in a slightly different way, in a bit more of an inspirational way, but actually are embedded within that social economy. So we've got 3 panel members. We have Kelly Evans, who is the CEO of Social Change UK, who are a profit for purpose organisation. So Kelly also is a trustee on a charity as well. So she comes at this from a B Corp organisation, which is an organisation that is for profit but is dedicated toward social and environmental impact. Right.
Dan Clark is the MD of a company based in Moseley called MindJam, and MindJam are they're soon to be a social enterprise, but they provide mentoring and wellness support for young people, particularly working through schools and SEN organisations. But they come at it from gaming and digital skills. So they're using gaming platforms and digital skills and coding to engage with young people and support mental health and well-being for young people. Again, started as a bit like Sarah said, often they start as a for-profit business, but I believe Dan and MindJam are looking at launching a kick. And then we have Samantha Lindley from Threshold Studios, who are an organisation who are probably best known for running the Frequency Festival, the International Festival of Digital Culture. So an arts organisation, a not-for-profit arts organisation, very much embedded within digital in terms of what they deliver, but also is very keen on looking at how you can use digital to support things like evaluation, particularly around evaluation and reporting to funders. So we've kind of got a fairly broad mix of people who are all embedded within social economy, are all doing things very quite differently in terms of digital. So social trends are very much about research and about communication. So how do you communicate better digitally? Mindjam very much the same in terms of service delivery and support. And then Fresh Oil Studios are much about not only delivering their core offering, but also about how do you evaluate it. So the aim is to have across those organisations to have an open conversation and Q&A. I just noticed that the room I'm in is just the lights just turned off. I'll turn the light on in a second.
You've been sat still for too long. Is that what's happened?
Yeah, I'm deliberately not moving so I don't jog the table, and now it thinks I'm not in the room. Technology at its best. But yeah, so the idea is to have a Q&A session and then get the audience involved and get people's perspectives, and a lot of that will then feed into the last session. Excuse me for one moment.
That's okay. So David there highlighted that's what we're doing. So the speakers, and then they got the panel discussion, and then there's a chance then a bit of lunch and some networking. Again, different. So always good to have that sort of sector networking, especially when you've got in effect two sectors together. If you've got people from that sort of digital tech, you've got people from the social comedy sector. So lunch always, I believe, always a good lunch. Always a good lunch at Mosaic. And then Sarah, are you doing a very specific sort of post lunch discussion set as well? Is that something you're
I'm
gonna
definitely staying for lunch, and then afterwards, it would be great if the social economy organisations that are there would share their thoughts on whether or not there are common themes. And I think there's the big piece of work around, do we need to build an app or whatever, but actually there's some scope that the people with digital skills might want to become board members or might want to volunteer for a specific project or just be a listening ear. And I think being physically together, bringing these two sectors physically together, we know that when anybody comes together, there's more sparking happens than if you are just online. So even though I think we've all got better at creating relationships online, I think that it's just that random question. I know I manage a centre a bit similar to, I won't say similar to Mosaic in the technical features, but manage a workspace. And pre-COVID, when we used to all get together and have a coffee and things, tenants would say, I'm really struggling with sorting my diary out because my phone's ringing all the time, but I'm with a client. And another tenant, they were all startups at the time, said, there's an app you can do that with, and it's free. And so suddenly, just by literally being and having a coffee together, by making the time and facilitating a session where people can share something, because what you just take for granted for techie people, non-techie people like me, when I go to my IT team here and ask for something, well, they're blowing my mind with what's possible. And I think we need to be open to how technology can be less terrifying and more our friend. But if we don't know what it can do, we're not interested because we're not reading magazines on it or whatever, then that's what I think we could learn from each other. And I think there's a lot of people out there with a social conscience that want to actually, David mentioned this, that people work in sectors, they're really value driven, and actually if you can get an organisation where your values align, well, it would be perfect for making bigger impact more quickly.
Yeah, excellent. So that's an optional, an additional session at the end for the Greater Lincolnshire Social Economic Academy, and I absolutely agree with you, Sarah. That sort of networking with people that are tech savvy to people that are not, but also the fact that we might be talking about tech that's actually easy to use. That actually these are apps that are dead simple. And often when you've got your peers saying to you, "Look, I'm not a techie either, but I can drive this," or this works on my phone, it works on my computer, whatever, I think is really, really useful. I mean, I just adding to this event, some of the things about support is that, as you know, but as some of the audience may know, is that we provide digital support through the Business Lincolnshire program. So again, some people think that's just for businesses, but it's not true. I mean, I'm supporting a Lincolnshire-based trust, and it's around their digital decisions. So it's about, they want to do some substantial changes. They've got other consultants coming in. They've got people trying to sell them functionality, and they want someone to come along and just give them another, to be their sort of friend, and just maybe unpick some stuff and put it into to make sure it fits their strategy. So there is digital support. It is cross sector, and it includes that social economy sector as well. So I think I'll be there at the event. So I'll be around. So if anyone wants to find a route. That, as ever with all these things, the route usually is back through to Business Lincolnshire. Look at the website. Again, I usually put that link on LinkedIn. And all we're trying to do is reinforce how much support is around, and that the fact that the eligibility for this is quite often just that they are operating in the Greater Lincolnshire area. I was just saying, have you got anything to add to what we've just talked about, just in terms of the event on that day, or anything else that you want to add, Sarah, about the academy? We've got a bit of time if we need to.
Yeah, we've got, I think it's to make it clear about the academy as well, is it doesn't need to be the people that are enrolling. Once an organisation is enrolled, this is for staff, volunteers, trustees, board members of these organisations. So I know often, a training budget is maybe very small, if it exists at all. So actually, once an organisation enrolls, then people can just book onto events in the future. They don't need to go through the enrolment process again. So it's a great way for building capability in volunteers, trustees, board members and staff. And we do have, I'm just referring to my notes because I can't remember the date. We do have a session coming up before the one at Mosaic that me and David are hosting. And that is on Wednesday, May the 22nd. It's on our Eventbrite page, and that is sources of finance for social purpose projects, and that will be online with Key Fund, so Dave Thornett from Key Fund Investments and Jodie from VCS in Lincoln, and we'll be talking about social investment, pure grant funding, and then a blended model. So that's live now to book on our academy. And I'm glad it's not just me that has technical hitches, because I know I've sent you some slides, Guy, but if you can't find the links to our Eventbrite page, maybe there's something we could do in the chat afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was just going to say that actually I can post these into the chat afterwards. I've put in links already for you and for the AI event, for the Innovate event as well. So I'm putting them already in, and I can catch up at the end and pop some of the ones in just to catch them up. I've muted David because we're just getting a little bit of industrial noise coming through. I think that's part of I love mute you now, David. Are you back?
Yeah, the only other thing I was going to add is that we're also hoping to have attending the event a representative of Innovate UK Business Growth, which is the new name for Innovate UK Edge. So this is a team that's based in the East Midlands, and their role is supporting businesses and not-for-profits and organisations that want to access some of the Innovate UK products and services, mainly around some of the grant funding competitions. And they're there to support, help people navigate, and also help them understand how best to enter into some of those grant competitions. So we're hoping to have somebody else there. And I guess the only thing I'd say, because as Sarah's already said, the plan is that the second session, the session after lunch, is very much about uncovering those themes, which I think will feed back into kind of demand-led. I'd like to think that the sector's quite supportive of helping different organisations. So it might be that some of those themes are themes that then some of the sector could help maybe run a workshop or the like. So I think it's important to keep those conversations going, because I'm sure the sector locally are very, very interested in helping support the wider social economy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just checking for on the link on the LinkedIn feed. I've not got any questions at the moment. So I think unless we've anything more to add, I'm just going to put the slide up again so we can see that that's the event we're talking about, the Innovate for Impact. Digital Solutions for the Social Economy. Thursday, the 11th of June. So what time does it start? So I haven't got the time. Is it 10 o'clock?
Yeah, so it's kind of a welcome at 10. So there'll be some chance to get a coffee or a tea, and then the event runs from 10:30 to 12, so an hour and a half, as we said, broken into some speaking slots and then a panel and an open discussion. And then we break for lunch from 12 till 1, and then we have the optional facilitate discussion with Sarah and yourselves 1 till 2. So the idea is if you're in the sector but you don't particularly want to come to the end panel, then it's an hour and a half effectively to kind of get involved. But then after lunch there's that optional section, which I think will be actually really valuable for the sector.
Yeah, well, I'm going to certainly hang around for the whole event, and join in that discussion in the afternoon, just in case any part of that support that we can provide through the Business Lincolnshire digital support, just so people are aware of it, and almost, if that adds any of the into any of that discussion, I'm looking forward to it. Conscious that I think we've got the message over. I think we know what the academy's doing and what Sarah's great work they're doing. David, you and that digital sector, I think that's working, again, and put it together. So this is that sort of culmination of these two sectors. So anyone watching, put it in your diary. There's some links on there. Search on Business Lincolnshire, search on the BGU site, or even on the Mosaic site. So there's no reason why you can't find this event, and it'll be in the chat as well. I've already put it there. So the next live show, I'm gonna call this call it all this. It's no point is going on and saying again and again. This is videoed. Go back and catch something if you missed out. The next show I think is going to be on the 20. Let me think. Is it the 28th of May? It's the day after the bank holiday. But I'll confirm that, and we'll get that booked in LinkedIn as soon as we know. So I'd just like to thank David, and I'd like to thank Sarah for joining me today, telling us all about the support that's around for both the digital sector and for the social economy sector, and telling more about the events, and also that idea of what is Mosaic doing for the digital and tech sector, what BGU are doing for that social economy through the academy, and hopefully that's all be very useful. So thanks, David. Thanks, Sarah. I'm gonna shut down and end the stream. So thanks for joining us, and I'll see you again next time.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks, Sarah. Cheers.
Bye.